This is how to fix a leaking blender, and I'd like to point out that I am not an expert at this, so if I sound like an expert, that's totally by accident. Please don't try to sue me because I have no money. I've already had this blender apart, so it's going to be really easy for me to take apart, but if yours hasn't been apart, it'll be kind of difficult. Get somebody to grab the bottom, or you could possibly grab it between your legs and then turn this part. Usually it's counterclockwise. Mine comes apart easy because I just took it apart. Take this part off. Probably need to clean that. Pull this part. Usually it's kind of stuck a little bit. Clean all your gaskets up. I still got a little cleaning to do here. Sometimes this is the part that leaks on you. Sometimes it gets just a little bit of crud in here. Be sure and take note of how you get it apart. Some of the gaskets may have a lip on one side that has to go a certain way. Mine's pretty much universal. You'll need to soak that in some hot soapy water probably to get it good and clean. And now's a good time to inspect your blades. Mine are in pretty good shape because this one's pretty new, but if yours look like they couldn't be sharpened pretty easily, or if they're just really in bad shape, maybe you'll want to replace your blender instead of trying to fix it. Be very cautious. If you've never had a blender apart before, you may not realize it, but these edges are very sharp, especially if it's fairly new or if you've sharpened them recently. Be very careful not to cut yourself with them. Yours may be different, but in general, if you look at your blades, like this one, this surface is sharp, so the blender is going to turn this way to operate, so this way will tighten it. That's backwards from most threads, so you want to turn, on mine you will turn clockwise to loosen it. It's kind of hard to tell. You can also take a magnifying glass after you've cleaned this up, maybe with some baking soda and toothpaste or something like that, with a little old toothbrush or something. Maybe you can see the threads with a magnifying glass and tell which way they go if there's a little bit exposed, but usually there's not. The main thing is to look at the edge and see which direction is sharp, which way it will turn to operate, and then you turn it backwards to loosen it. The noise you hear in the background would be my cat. He has all of a sudden gotten in a mood, and he might bump the camera from time to time, so that's the noise and the sudden shaking in the camera that you'll see. Also on mine, I put a drop of penetrating oil on this and let it set for a little while because they used a very poor quality stainless steel, or I don't know, maybe that's not even a stainless steel nut that's in this thing, but I put a little bit of penetrating oil in. I was surprised it came apart a lot easier than I thought it would. Alright, so next you want to take a crescent wrench, and there's really no great way to hold this thing, but you can put it like this, and since you're going backwards to loosen it, you're not going to be damaging the blades anyway, but you just get this up on here. If you have a vise, you can put the head of this crescent wrench down in the vise like that. If you don't, you'll have to get somebody to help you. Just be careful not to cut you or your friend if this slips. Maybe you want to wear some good thick gloves just in case. And then each of these is different. Different blenders do it in a different way. Mine has some odd teeth here. There's no real good way to grab these things, at least not on mine. So I just took a pair of channel locks and stuck it right in here. And this is the hard part. Be sure you turn it the correct direction, whichever way you figured out earlier. Mine is backwards, so I'm going to turn it clockwise to loosen it. It's already been apart before, so it came apart really nice and easy. And you just take it out of the vice grips, not vice grips, the crescent wrench, and continue on to unscrew it. Alright, be sure to note how things came apart. Like I said, this has already been apart before, but this washer was stuck to here. Look at the wear marks on it when you take it apart, so you can be sure and put it back together the same way. This one you may not be able to see, but you can see where the little thrust washer here has certain directions on it, just due to the old caking and wear marks. Then this thrust washer is actually meant to fit around this shaft, so when you put it back together, be sure and don't let it sit up here on the top part. be sure and get it down around the shaft. Sounds like cats in there trying to get in trouble as we speak. Okay, then this little, on mine, you may have O-rings down inside here, on here, who knows it, who knows how it'll be designed. Mine, the only seal was right here. Just be very cautious that you note which direction it goes. If it's directional, mine is. It has a little thin flap that faces towards this part, and then the thicker part faces this direction here. So I just had to make note of that, pull that off, and inspect everything, soak it in hot soapy water or whatever you got to do to get it cleaned up good. The baking soda and toothpaste took all the crud off of the shaft really well, and there really wasn't anything obvious wrong with mine when I took it apart. It just had a lot of crud, so I don't know, maybe it had a hair or who knows what got stuck in there, or a piece of food, and was allowing it to leak pretty bad. It was just slinging stuff all over me. If you use baking soda and toothpaste to clean this stuff up, or whatever you use, be sure to get it out from down in here. This has a brass insert in it, or at least mine does. No matter what it has in there, you don't want to leave baking soda in any of this because it's pretty abrasive. It can mess things up. Okay, and then I took mine apart again for the heck of it there to show you, and I put it back together. And this is just like a little test fit here. I'm going to put everything back together. Whoop, wrong way. There we go. Be sure to hold that nice and flat like this, so you make sure that that thrust washer doesn't come up and get in the wrong place, or when you tighten it down it'll break it. Be sure and put each part back together the way it came apart. This is hard to remember. It goes on backwards. You have to turn it counterclockwise to tighten it. Don't shake it too much or you'll knock that thrust washer loose. Just tighten it just slightly, and be careful. You can cut yourself on these blades when you're tightening that. Just get it just lightly snug, and check in here to make sure that you don't see any air gap between that seal right down in here. If you do, then you either have something put together wrong, or you need to put an additional thrust washer or something in to kind of take up some of that gap. Mine had no gap, so that apparently is not where my problem was. I think it was just the amount of crud built up from the years. So hopefully it won't leak when I put it back together. Okay, so then take it back apart, and if you decided to, go ahead and sharpen these up. If they're in real bad shape, you can usually take a file to it to get it started, then a nice small wet rock or something to finish it up to get it good and sharp. Just be really careful that you don't cut yourself after that. And also be sure and rinse it off really well after you get through sharpening it, so that you don't have any little metal filings on here. You don't want to get any of that into your seals. It's best if this is a little damp. When you go to put your seals on, they go on easier. I can't really recommend that you use a lubricant, because then it's going to get into your food when you're making your smoothies in the morning. But I am going to put a little bit of some real high quality grease down inside here just to help the life of this thing. Just be sure you clean it off of this upper surface before you put it all back together, so that you don't leave any residue to get into your food. Alright, so I've sharpened everything. You'll be much happier with your blender and how it works if you do sharpen it. Then make sure I get my gasket on here, my little washer on here correctly while it's wet. Slides on a lot easier that way. Be careful not to cut yourself. Alright. Then my next part here that I've put just a touch of grease in there. Working it back and forth a little to distribute my grease. Alright. You can see a little bit of the excess grease there on that side. That's okay. That won't get in the food. Now make sure I got my direction correct here. Hopefully this is in focus. A little bit of grease will just kind of help the life of the thrust washer. And here's our next washer. Again, make sure you put it on there correctly. Very poor quality rusty washer here. I didn't have a proper size to replace it. Making sure that grease gets distributed a little bit. That'll just help it all live better. And the hard part, remembering to turn this backwards from your normal direction, assuming that your blender works the same way mine does. Once you get it just lightly snug, be very careful, because if you slip you're going to cut yourself. This is the direction that the blades will be moving into your hand, so get you on a good thick glove, or grab it with whatever you want, maybe a thick rag, so that you can snug it down a little bit more. It's kind of self-tightening, because as you're hitting ice cubes or whatever you're chopping up with this thing, it's going to be turning this way anyway, and it should be self-tightening. Okay, so I grabbed a rag and snugged it down a little bit, and then I'm going to look here to make sure that when I'm pushing back and forth that I don't see any air gap in here where it would leak. Looks like everything's good and snug. Alright. Okay, now we're going to put it all back together here. I want to get you a little bit of vegetable oil to smear on this thing. I didn't clean up too good there, but good enough. And the vegetable oil is kind of the same idea as when you put a drop of oil on a oil filter on a car, if you've ever happened to do that. It's just to help it not bunch up when you're tightening things down. Sometimes it can grab on each surface and it'll pull it up and kink it or whatever, and that'll damage your gasket. Put it on the correct direction for your blender, however it came off, and maybe smear a little bit of your vegetable oil on the top of this piece so that it slides nicely. And center it all, and then put your last piece on. Usually this turns clockwise. Alright. Okay, if you are concerned that you may have not gotten it back together correctly, be sure and give this a little test spin here. Should spin nice and smooth without too much slack or anything in there. If it binds up bad, then you probably got it together wrong. Be careful if you stick your hand down in here and grab these. They'll sometimes poke you in the end of the finger. You can make sure that feels like it's not wobbling around or anything. Alright, and then you could also fill this up with hot water. Let it set on a paper towel for a few minutes. See if it leaks water out on the paper towel. If that works okay, then try putting some water in it with some ice cubes and let it set for a little while. See if that leaks. You may get a little condensation, but it shouldn't actually leak. And if it doesn't, then you're good to go. Alright, so that's it. So hopefully your blender doesn't leak anymore, and if you like the video, please click the like button or the +1 or whatever they happen to have on here, and also please subscribe to my channel. That will help me out. Thanks.